I know you guys are all super excited to hear this. Paul Sewald is back. Ski and welcome in to another edition of the PHNX Dbacks podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as a guy who is having entirely too many internet issues today, but I am thrilled to have you guys here, thrilled to be joined by the entire crew, and of course, thrilled to be discussing some interesting news today when it comes to the Arizona Diamondbacks. We have reports that according to Steve Gilbert, of course, we got news here that bringing back Paul Sewald to this team on a one-year deal worth $1.5 million. And this is kind of insane. Happy to have you guys here today. Thrilled to be joined by all of you in the chat. And I hope I'm coming through clearly because we've had a number of internet issues. I tried to bring you this show from Salt River Fields, but then I was told I was going to basically be locked in for the night, and I did not feel like sleeping there. I am joined by Shane Diefenbach on the ones and the mustache on the other side of the internet. But of course, thrilled to have you guys here. And Groundhog Mama might be right. I might not be wearing pants. That might be up overall for debate. But regardless, we have news that Paul Sewald is returning to the Arizona Diamondbacks. And again, I don't exactly know why, but that is the information coming out from Steve Gilbert here. The Arizona Diamondbacks have reportedly signed Paul Sewald to a $1.5 million major league contract. This isn't a spring invite. This isn't a minor league deal. This is a veteran bullpen arm that we know entirely too well. So again, this is a situation where a lot of Arizona Diamondbacks fans are not thrilled with this move. However, it at least is the Diamondbacks adding to the bullpen. I don't know. I don't have much for you on that. I honestly am kind of confused and shocked by this move. Here's the tweet from Steve Gilbert today, just to prove that I'm not making this up. This isn't a joke. This isn't a farce. This is essentially that the Diamondbacks are in fact signing Paul Sewald to a one-year deal here. Overall, this is not ideal for the Diamondbacks, right? This is not great. But we do. Oh, I got an internet issue. There we go. Shane, if you could help me out there. There we go. Sorry about that. Sound issues, internet issues, everything's out to get me today. Yes, the Chief Crazy Buffalo hears the crazy echo. That's what I was trying to definitely get away from. But anyway, back to Paul Sewald. He's causing my show to break here today because I can't function knowing Paul Sewald is coming back to this team. We all have our memories of Paul Sewald. I will say that, of course, they're mostly negative when it comes to the Dbacks fan base, and understandably so, not just for his struggles in 2024, but obviously for the way he pitched in 2025. Or excuse me, 2023 in the World Series, right? But he did split that year between the Diamondbacks and the Mariners, if you remember, and him coming to this team did seem to change things and is the reason why, the Diamondbacks made the playoffs and went on to the World Series. I mean, he was attributed to it. He's not the sole reason why, obviously. This was a team effort, but overall, he had a strong season that year. Diamondbacks had a 3.57 ERA overall. But then he took on and obviously declined from his peak there in 23. He ended that season with a 4.31 ERA, 16 saves. He saw fewer strikeouts relative to opportunities, and the Diamondbacks shifted leverage there late in games. Obviously, things changed. We know how bad things got for Paul Sewald, and he was limited by injuries in his time with the Guardians and the Tigers. He pitched just 19 2/3 innings in 2025. I was going to pull his stats, but that just seemed like a futile task overall. But again, this is him posting a 4.58 ERA, 1.22 WHIP, 20 strikeouts, 6 walks, whatever. I think that this is a move that goes far beyond what I've said about bringing back guys. You know, it's hard when the team. It's hard when this team overall doesn't make changes, and it's definitely hard when they bring back guys from last year, like we said, bringing back Merrill Kelly, even though he was the best pitcher on this team, even bringing back Zac Gallen. None of that feels exciting, and it's hard to. Even if you brought over new players with worse ERAs, you would feel a little bit better, at least about the idea of new energy, new players, maybe a change of scenery. This is probably the bleakest outcome the Diamondbacks could have gone after here when it comes to a free agent pitcher. It truly is the guy that no Diamondbacks fans really wanted to see, and it's just unfortunate overall that, you know, again, despite the fact that he was such a big part of this team and a big part of what they were able to do in 2023, the memories aren't great when it comes to Paul Sewald and the Diamondbacks. So many players on this team attributed what he did for this team and said that he brought, obviously, a sense of everybody knowing what their job was once he was added to this roster in the trade with the Seattle Mariners. Paul Sewald just brought that, I guess, that closing experience and that guy that Torey felt comfortable naming. And then from there, everybody knew what their job was. So everybody kind of settled in. And it's one of the reasons why this team, again, was able to get across that finish line and then, you know, do what they did in the playoffs. But Sewald obviously had his struggles in the playoffs, time with Diamondbacks, despite, I guess, early on really being a guy that brought, you know, a sense of normalcy to this team overall. But Torey was asked today about Paul Sewald. Now, the signing is not official yet, so Torey Lovullo nor Mike Hazen can comment on the signing until it's official. But it did sound like Torey was unaware Paul Sewald was part of the team. Like he usually does play a little coy with us, or kind of tells us that he can't talk about it or whatever. In this case, Torey was asked today about Paul Sewald, and he sounded very speculative about Sewald joining this team.
That said, when you're looking at late inning options, do you foresee being, you know, guys who've been here before, or could a younger guy have stepped into a role like that?
Yeah, I'm looking for anybody to emerge, right? I know you're probably targeting some newer names, one that probably got here about a week ago, right? I don't know what that looks like, but I'm gonna act accordingly based on what I see and what I'm getting from these players. I do like the stability of Ryan Thompson. He's throwing strikes. He doesn't beat himself, but you know, we're gonna find 8 guys down there that are gonna complement one another. And right now, we've got to figure out roles. Maybe find a closer. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's all very, very gray, and I don't mind that. We got to figure some things out, but we got to watch and observe.
Derek, I think you're muted.
That he was was part of this team. No surprise there, though. That was kind of something that came out throughout the day, came out kind of quickly, and then we can't hear. Oh no, Shane, we can't hear.
You're good now. You're good now.
What did I do? Oh, we good? All right, everybody's back. All right, we're good. All right. So back to Sewald here overall. Again, expectations are low. It's hard to say that they're not. But again, there is the idea here that he could definitely bring something to this team. He could be a guy that actually could surprise us. I think overall he probably isn't going to be that closer that he was for this team, but who knows? There's so much uncertainty right now about what the Diamondbacks have going on that it's hard to say that, anybody is out of any role or in for any role or anything. Torrey again did say that there was 8 spots open in the bullpen. We're going to talk about that here shortly, but for all intents and purposes, your Arizona Diamondbacks trying to recapture that 2023 magic with Paul Sewald back on this team. I don't know. See, Sean says this signing is ruining PHNX Dbacks production. He's not wrong about that. We've stopped caring around here, obviously. My cat's joining us as a guest. Audio is all over the place. I mean, it's obvious that we don't care. I mean, if they don't care, we don't care, right? All jokes aside, you got to hope that anybody that is a member of the Arizona Diamondbacks does well. And it's hard to get behind a Paul Sewald signing, but at the same time, hopefully he surprises us all. This is another case where, please, for the love of God, prove us wrong, right? Prove us wrong. Come out here, add some, consistency perhaps to the bullpen, at least add some experience here. The Diamondbacks still have a lot of young guys, so it definitely feels like the experience Paul Sewald was attractive to this team, but I don't know. Yeah. By the way, Brandon says you didn't tear your pants in half today too, did you? No, I did not. But you would I would argue that I did say that I got hit by a baseball on Tuesday, tore my pants yesterday. Thursday, Paul Sewald joins this team. So I don't want to put those all on the same level. And again, I don't want to besmirch this good man's name because again, he's still a baseball player that hopefully has recovered from that injury and can still add something to this roster. We do also know that rumors are out there still for Zac Gallen to possibly be joining this team. The Diamondbacks still feel like a little bit of a long shot there. Torrey was asked about the starting rotation today, and he did say that it was all set kind of for the most part. He didn't go into specifically who was in the rotation, nor did he name, where the guys fit in. But, he basically said the same names you're thinking are the same names I'm thinking. So, again, there is the starting pitchers the Diamondbacks have at a major league level. That's it. That's the guys that are in the 5-man rotation for now. Zac Gallen remains unsigned. As you know, nobody seems to want to sign him due to the fact that he rejected the qualifying offer from the Dbacks. And now whatever team that does sign him would have to give up either a high draft pick or a lower round draft pick, competitive round balance B if he signs for under 50 million, competitive round balance A, or competitive balance round A if he signs for over 50 million. But right now it's looking like he might not sign at all. That's doubtful. Might be just that teams are waiting and to see how the rest of the season falls and to see if maybe Zach's requirements come down as far as how much money he's asking for or how much money Scott Boras is asking for. But the Diamondbacks still remain one of 3 teams in on Zac Gallen. In fact, they're one of 4 teams because even though the Baltimore Orioles just got Chris Bassett, apparently that is not impacting their pursuit here of Zac Gallen. So it is being reported that the Baltimore Orioles are still interested in Gallen. You also have the San Diego Padres who have kind of emerged lately due to one kind of a rumor that went crazy from an account that is not to be trusted apparently, but also you have the fact that he there does seem to be interest there from the Padres who need starting pitching. Chicago Cubs also still interested. They have been long rumored and long tied to Zac Gallen this offseason. So no surprise there that the Chicago Cubs are still interested on Gallen overall, but talks seem to be going on. A shorter term prove-it contract has been floated as a likely scenario for the Cubs and probably for any team that's interested in Zac Gallen at this point. But a return to Arizona has been discussed as a wild card possibility. And even though the Diamondbacks do have 5 pitchers currently in their starting rotation, it does not mean that they would not go out and pursue Zac Gallen on a cheap deal, nor would it be the worst idea. But man, talk about running it back with everyone. Talk about reunions galore. When I heard we had a reunion today with a guy named Paul, I got excited, and it was the wrong Paul, right? Zac, again, is a guy that I still feel like showed some of his best stuff after the trade deadline last year. And there's also a guy named James McCann walking around with huge guns in the clubhouse that I think can still continue to get the best out of Zac Gallen when he's behind the plate. So I do not hate a Gallen return, and I think he could have a resurgence in 2026 still. But again, teams that are out apparently are Mets and Yankees. They apparently have no interest in Zac Gallen any longer. And bottom line, it looks like the Padres would be the best fit for Zac, which would be terrible because I do not want to see Zac Gallen in a Padres uniform. I don't want to play him 14 times a year. I don't want to be a division rival with Zac Gallen. Cubs, that's still not great either because, again, if the Diamondbacks are looking at making the playoffs, which hopefully they are, there are a lot of teams in the National League that could stand between them and a wild card berth. And that Chicago Cubs team has gotten better this offseason, and they could get even better by adding Zac Gallen. But if nothing breaks here soon in spring training for Gallen, we might see a really short-term deal with an mutual opt-out, not mutual option, but an opt-out for 1 year, maybe a 2-year deal overall. 2027, a lot of uncertainty. I know I'll be looking for a job most likely thanks to Major League Baseball. So you know what? Might as well, make yourself available too if you're Zac Gallen, considering no one really knows what's going to happen once this collective bargaining agreement expires and we are, kind of without baseball. They need to figure that out. Let me tell you that. I saw Jeff Passan, I think, write a story today about how baseball has a lot going against it right now, and really, they're in a bad position to be possibly without baseball for an entire season, right? So, also shout out, believe it or not, to Scott Boras, because Scott Boras actually did say something on Foul Territory as well the other day when he discussed how the media rights for MLB should be far more valuable than they are, and for some reason, this whole thing that's a mess. With media rights being spread out the way they are and MLB having to take them over. It's all bad. It's all bad. MLB has a lot of work to do. And I think perhaps maybe a new commissioner would help with that. But again, we'll see what happens in the future. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of this break, we are going to talk about Corbin Carroll returning from injury already. Not really. But he was out there at spring training, working hard and doing everything he could without the use of his right hand. We're going to talk about that on the other side of this break. You're watching the PHNX Diamondback Show. I'm here in my home, which means I have access to an entire box of Pure Edibles here next to me. That is because Pure Edibles is perfect for any scenario, especially ones where you are looking at the injured list for the Diamondbacks already for 2026. Pure Edibles is a delightful brand that not only has a wide array of candies with some delicious flavors, they have more than just gummies. They have chews, hard candies, soft candies. They have their version of Starburst that they call Kicks. But they also have a wide variety of effects, and that's why I love Pure. When you take a look at all the different effects they have, they can elevate your mood. They can help you get good sleep. They have effects that help you with pain management and so much more. So make sure to check out the full line of Pure Edibles wherever you get your edibles. They are available at over 130 dispensaries across this fine state. And you can also check out their new collab with Mother Road Brewing Company, my favorite brewery in the state. They have themselves a nice little all-in-one device in honor of the Tower Station IPA, one of the finest in the land. Citrusy, piney, all the good things you love about an IPA, but in an all-in-one device. So do not miss out on all of this wonderfulness that Pure has to offer. And also, of course, make sure to check out our friends over at Branded Bills. Branded Bills is the greatest hat company potentially in the world right now. I'll say it. I know that's bold, but I will say it. Branded Bills has taken over the world because their logo work and craftsmanship is amazing, and their hats are incredibly comfortable. They are nice and stretchy. They are light. They're perfect for Arizona summers. And of course, they are a local company from right here in Mesa, Arizona, which makes it even better. But if you are looking to make some gear for your brand to help your brand stand apart from the crowd, look no further than Branded Bills. You can start your order and their dedicated team will help you create the exact custom apparel you need. We took a tour around their shop and it was so great to see all of the custom logos they've made, all of the work they've done for some wonderful brands. And of course, they are a fine company for you to check out if you are looking to make some wonderful hats. They have snapbacks, truckers, fitted, any kind of hats you're looking for. So head on over to brandedbills.com and use our code of BBPHNX for 15% off your first order, and do it right now. All right. Well, Corbin Carroll, he's a machine. He's an animal. He's a monster. Whatever you want to, whatever adjectives, whatever words you want to use to describe him is all accurate. He is just one day removed from having surgery on his right hand, and we all turn around for a moment and we see him out there training. I think we have video here of it, of Corbin out there doing his thing. No, we don't. Okay, I guess we don't. But we do have video from Tori talking about Corbin rehabbing, and this is what Tori had to say about Corbin's rehab process.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. That's how he's wired, and that's what makes him so special. He had surgery yesterday morning, and 24 hours later, he's out there working, and it's just who he is and why we all love him so much. There's a process and there's a plan for him. Our medical team is fantastic. They're going to put it together so when he's able to get a bat back in his hands, the other parts of his body, such as his legs, that's very important as well, and his shoulder, where he can throw the baseball, they're not going to play catch up. We want to make this the shortest time possible to get him back on a big league field in a hot game during a regular season. So I don't know the timeline, but not surprised. And I know he's frustrated. I know he wants to play every inning of every game. When I take him out of games, when I give him days off, he doesn't like it. This is something out of his control. He's just going to have to sit down for a little while and heal up.
Well, again, we know how frustrating it is for Corbin overall. And again, go check out our Twitter, our Instagram. We have an Instagram that's active for those of you that might not know, by the way. We have video out there of Corbin rehabbing and just again, try not to miss a day here. It's frustrating because Corbin not only is a guy that strives to get better every single day, but it's also just incredibly frustrating because you could tell Corbin was that guy that was out there the first day that they were allowing the guys to be out at Salt River Fields. Corbin was out there training, getting better for the 2026 season, doing everything he could to be the best version of himself. So any kind of setback here, any kind of missed time is frustrating. And we discussed it a little bit when it came to the injury yesterday, but having this setback does affect power, and it's going to be, a little while before Corbin's going to be able to have that power back. But we do have Corbin here talking about the injury and how soon he knew that bone in his hand, that hamate bone, was broken.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think it's the physics of it. Just you've got a lot of force going in your hand, and the way that that hook is shaped, just that knob can dig in there and pop that thing loose sometimes. So yeah, again, not the first person that's going to happen to, not the last, and just definitely unfortunate, but part of the game.
Again, the stupid hamate bone. I'm so sick of hearing this word already, but I know the one thing everybody wants to know is a timetable for Corbin. We wanted to know a timetable for Corbin. As far as he's concerned, he's ready to come back tomorrow. But here's what Corbin, or excuse me, let's first have Corbin here on his timetable and not really knowing what if he's going to be able to make it back by opening day.
Yeah, I think we're like 40-ish days away. So I think just take it a day at a time. Hopefully, get out of this thing in a couple days. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a common enough baseball injury where you have somewhat of an idea, but I think also a little bit more flexible, just how this thing heals and yeah, take it a day at a time.
All right. Well, we also have Tori here discussing if Corbin's going to be ready for opening day. And again, Tori was very hesitant to put a timetable on anybody's return. This is what he had to say.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, he had the procedure yesterday. I know the timelines, and I don't know when Lindor or Holiday procedure happened. There's a timeline now. The three of them, it's going to be a race, and you might see A ahead of B. I don't know. We do what we do here, and we're gonna stick with our plan. I don't know what that looks like yet.
A race apparently going to be, or at least a comparison that's going to be between these three superstars for who returns first, and anybody that lags behind is most likely going to be seen as the weaker, the beta here. I don't know. Overall, though, it's hard to deny that there's going to be some sort of comparison here with these guys all having basically the same injury, the same surgery, all in the same few days, and all being very, very, big stars for their teams. Folding chair in the chat says, we know Corbin can stretch singles into doubles and doubles into triples, so not worried about his power. You know what? You're not wrong about that. I have said that at times I would almost have liked to see Corbin get on base a little more than constantly showing off the power. I mean, it did feel like there was a brief period of time that was kind of like feast or famine for him, where, yeah, it was great that he was hitting dingers, but, again, some of his value can be the way he exhausts an opposing team on the base path, right? So as much as I love to see that, and again, you're not wrong about that. He can definitely he can stretch a single into a home run is what he can do. But I think that he is again, he's probably going to be fine. This injury overall is really weird. Corbin talked about how this injury happened. Now, again, if you didn't watch yesterday's episode or didn't get a chance to see this, he didn't get hit. He actually had hit a home run the pitch before, and then he fouled this pitch off and experienced what Tori described like a bee sting in his hand. And that was him kind of being informed by his body that he had broken a bone in his hand, a very stupid, tiny bone that we hate. And we're sick of this bone. But here's Corbin talking about how this injury happens to baseball players.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think it's the physics of it. Just you've got a lot of force going in your hand, and the way that hand makes that hook is shaped. Just that knob can dig in there and pop that thing loose sometimes.
Now, Tori was a little bit more doubtful about Corbin returning for opening day. I think this is the other video we have of Tori talking about. Tori said this about Corbin returning by opening day.
Nobody knows how hard that was on this team last year. You guys do. I'm sure the baseball fans in Arizona know that.
Oh, that was a different. Sorry, wrong one with that. But we do have Tori talking here about who's going to fill in for Corbin Carroll in the outfield. Of course, Alek Thomas kind of came up as an option, but Tori has a little bit more. Here's what he had to say about that.
Yeah. I shared a little bit of that yesterday with AT moving potentially to right a little bit through the early part of the season. I don't know. I haven't yet had conversations with any of the other position players, but we're not going to go out and get players. We're gonna stay internal. That's what we do here. And these guys in player development have been preparing and probably dreaming about this opportunity. Guys like Barroso are going to get more innings, going to get more time out there. I mentioned Lawler. So we're two down. We have our starting right field, and our starting left fielder that are hurt. So it's time for somebody to step up.
Yeah. And as sorry, that clip kind of cut off there, but yeah, no, I mean, there are a lot of options for Tori. We saw a lot of guys out there in the outfield taking reps and getting their work in. Don't know who is going to fill in, but there's a lot of discussion obviously about Jordan Lawler being in center field and Alec Thomas being in right, but they're missing guys all over the place, right? We got, a lot of question marks. Now, one thing we did see today, Lourdes Gurriel Jr. coming into Salt River Fields. That was a sight for sore eyes. And we have talked about Lourdes and his superhuman rehabbing, right? Like, it's kind of been incredible. In fact, Lourdes, I remember I was there the day that his injury happened, and Torrey made a comment almost jokingly that Lourdes said he was going to be back for opening day then. Well, this man is trying to keep his word. And again, if you want to go see what an X-Men looks like when he's rehabbing, go check out Lourdes Gurriel's Instagram page. But we did have Torrey here talking about Lourdes wanting to come back by opening day and him not thinking that that's going to happen.
Might be ahead of schedule.
Yeah, he said opening day to me yesterday when I saw him. Yeah, that's how good he's feeling. So credit to him and the plan that he's been on with our trainers, with his personal trainer back home in Florida. But he's here now, and we're going to get our hands on him and see where he's at. It is not going to be opening day, I can assure you that. That's how good he feels. Where that is, we don't know yet.
I talked to Torrey about, or I asked Torrey about the injuries, and basically he said the one thing he's learned over the years is that he has to trust his medical staff. He has no choice but to do so. These players, when you are out there right now at Salt River Fields, they all look ready to go. They all look healthy, and you don't really know how much to trust them, because players want to play. They want to be out there. They do not want to miss spring training. They don't want to miss time on the team. They do not want to miss their season, right? So when you talk to guys like AJ Puck, who says he's ready to go by May, even though he doesn't think the team will let him. When you talk to Corbin Burns, who says he wants to go throw bullpens right now because he's ready, then, you find yourself getting excited, and it's hard as a manager who wants these guys back on his roster as much as they want to be on the roster. It's hard to pump your brakes and to not get excited too. But overall, Torrey just discussed, you have to trust your medical staff. You have no choice. You can't even have a decision in it as a manager. And he learned that a long time ago, long before he was manager of this team. We know what this team went through last year. They went through injury hell. And that's how it was described today. Torrey was asked about that injury hell, and he discussed what he learned from it. Here's what he had to say.
Nobody knows how hard that was on this team last year. You guys do. I'm sure the baseball fans in Arizona know that we did walk through hell. The bullpen, it seemed like there for about a 2-week period of time, there was one guy going down after another. We had different guys step into roles. I think we set a major league record with different pitchers with saves, whatever that number was. It's ridiculous, right? You can never predict that, but they did it. So, yeah, it was a very, very tough walk. But as I said after talking about Andrew and then Corbin after his injury, I'm not going to allow myself to feel sorry for myself. I'm not going to allow anybody in this building give them time to feel sorry for themselves. We got a job to do, and that's to go out and develop players and win baseball games.
I like the learning from it, because again, injuries aren't going to stop, and it would appear that this season is already off to the banner start that was 2025, right? So we already have entirely too many injuries, and it's already kind of gross. It's just something that Torrey and his staff has to adjust to. They do have a fairly talented farm system, even though it wasn't ranked very highly by certain publications, and they have an opportunity for some of these young guys to come up and step up. I mean, especially when it comes to the bullpen. Torrey was asked today about that bullpen. We know they've now added Sewald to it, even though Torrey might have not known yet. But he was asked about how many spots were actually available for the relievers. We know each team carries 7 to 8 relievers. This is what Torrey said about how many spots were open.
I don't know, 8? All 8 of them. And that's been my theme, okay? Yes, I do know that Ryan Thompson is here, but I want, and I'm going to get done here talking to him in a couple minutes. My message is going to be to him, go out and earn it. Don't take anything for granted. That's been my theme, earn it. And nothing is going to be handed to you. There is nothing for free in this game. And we got to get back to that concept.
Well, I will say we know the Diamondbacks do have talented young pitchers that got experience last year in a kind of trial by fire situation. But one guy that we liked, as many of you are talking about in the chat, is no longer available. That was Anthony Banda. We talked about him on yesterday's episode after he was DFA'd by the Dodgers, and he has now been picked up by the Minnesota Twins. And I kind of agree with the sentiment in the chat. Folding chair RA says, come on, Snakes. Twins got Banda for basically $500,000. I mean, if you needed value arms, there's a value arm. There's a experienced value arm that, quite frankly, was part of our organization at one time and also went off and got himself some major experience by appearing in very high leverage games, kind of, you would argue, the most high leverage games, the playoff games, World Series, all that kind of stuff. Seems like he would have been a better fit than Paul Sewald if you're going to bring someone back. If you're going to bring someone back named Paul, I have another guy that you could have brought back, but it's not great. Also, we still don't know what they're going to do for a closer. Hopefully they do have a better option than Paul Sewald. Hopefully Sewald can be more of a middle relief setup guy at the best. But hopefully they find another closer. And Torrey seems to be interested in that, hopefully more interested than he has been in the past. Here's what he's had to say about finding a closer.
That said, when you're looking at late inning options, do you foresee it being guys who've been here before, or could a younger guy have stepped into a role like that?
Yeah, I'm looking for anybody to emerge, right? I know you're probably targeting some newer names, one that probably got here about a week ago, right? I don't know what that looks like, but I'm gonna act accordingly based on what I see and what I'm getting from these players. I do like the stability of Ryan Thompson. He's throwing strikes. He doesn't beat himself, but we're gonna find 8 guys down there that are going to complement one another. And right now, we've got to figure out roles. Maybe find a closer. I don't know what's going to happen. It's all very, very gray, and I don't mind that. We got to figure some things out, but we got to watch and observe.
I do think Torrey does a good job at times of making the most out of very little, right? But again, this goes back to how I feel like this team performs when they're an underdog and how he manages when he's an underdog. I don't really feel like this team has high expectations. They might internally, but they don't externally, not from fans, not from people, experts in Major League Baseball. So I don't really feel like they have that same level of pressure they've had the last 2 years. I hope that works in their favor. And I hope that with all of this opportunity and all of these positions they still need to fill, that guys are able to step up. I mean, and that's something that we haven't seen a tremendous amount of, though I will argue that some of the young guys that were kind of thrown into this organization based on trades and other factors last year did become kind of guys you felt like you could rely on, like a Philip Abner or Brandon Garcia. So I do think that there's talent here, and it's just about if they can develop that talent. They do have a new assistant GM who specializes in that. So hopefully Jeremy Bleich there can have an impact on this team, a similar impact that he had on the Pirates. But again, another topic that you guys are all discussing in the chat here, Nick Castellanos out in Philadelphia, was told by the Phillies, like, this is borderline disrespectful. I don't even know if it's borderline. It might be full-blown disrespect, but the Phillies have told Nick Castellanos to not report to spring training as a trade or release loomed, and he was in fact released today. And apparently it was all over having a beer. If that was the case, I would have been fired, I think, 3 episodes into doing this podcast, though I do believe Shane made me drink a beer. So I'm gonna bring Shane into that. But Philadelphia obviously made some attempts to move him. No one was interested for obvious reasons. His locker had been removed before a decision had been made, and again, he has been outright released. It's a pretty clear organizational shift for the Phillies, and when you talk about the Diamondbacks and their playoff chances, not that I want to wish bad things on other organizations, because we would never do that on this show. I hope all the bad things in the world happen to the Philadelphia Phillies, and I hope they're trash next year. That's what I hope. But overall, again, it would feel like the Phillies spend a lot of money without really getting a ton better, without adding much to their team. And now, they lose a guy who, quite frankly, had kind of dropped off in 2025. This situation, though, did not blow up overnight. It's not over just beers, though the beers did have a play in it, but it's the result of performance. Nick Castellanos seems to be a very difficult guy to be around. And also tragedy follows him wherever he goes, right? Like, nothing good's going to happen when Nick Castellanos is hot. Only bad things are going to happen when Nick Castellanos is hot. Do you want that? Do you want that pressure on your team? I don't think so, but he did have a below average season in 2025. He had hit 250 with a 694 OPS. He had 17 home runs. The 22.6% strikeout rate is almost league average exactly. I believe league average is like 21 to 22%. So just a little worse than league average. And he didn't play the outfield. He was basically a designated hitter for the majority of the season, if not all the season. So this minus 0.8 B WAR, baseball reference WAR, comes directly from his performance offensively. And that's because he's a defensive liability out there. You have his production, which obviously, as you look at this, does not justify a $20 million salary in the final year of his contract with limited defensive value. And advanced defensive metrics put him near the bottom of all major league outfielders in outs above average and defensive runs saved last season. Also, Phillies manager Rob Thompson began limiting Castellanos' everyday role and using him in platoon or defensive replacement situations, which Castellanos made public remarks about not accepting. He struggled to accept it. And a notable moment happened again when he was benched after making a comment the manager deemed inappropriate. That ended his consecutive start streak overall. So it was just friction, and it was going to come to this resolution at some point. I'm sure the Phillies would have loved to get something for him, but in the end, they're going to eat that contract, and they're going to get a guy off of their team that they deem is more detrimental to their success than adding to it. And that is the reason why I implore you in the chat to not want this man on your team. All right. We don't need this kind of energy. We have the power of friendship over here. We don't need the power of friction. I saw Nolan Arenado out there today being the best teammate out at Salt River Fields. He was getting along with guys. As a matter of fact, me and Alex Weiner from 98.7 were right there when he basically came up to Pavin and was like, want to have a catch? It was sweet. It was adorable. Nolan Arenado is already fitting in wonderfully with this team, as is Carlos Santana, who really seems to be gelling with the rest of his infield as well, with Cattell and Geraldo. You don't want to bring a guy like this into this team. If Arizona was to consider adding Castellanos, I can give you a list of reasons why he doesn't fit. His offense doesn't solve the right problems for the Diamondbacks. Their woes in recent seasons aren't about finding another bat. It was about getting consistent slash line production. It was about getting consistent on-base percentage, on-base production. Castellanos is neither of those things. His offense has regressed, and he doesn't provide elite plate skills, doesn't give you good at-bats, does not create runs. And, I mean, this is for a guy that's a 33-year-old star. He's a star. I mean, I like Nick Castellanos. You know me. I am a known troublemaker. And I would love the idea of covering Nick Castellanos as a member of this team. It was like when we brought on Jock Peterson. And then Jock Peterson was this just well-behaved, good teammate who had an amazing bat collection and never gave me the kind of energy that I was expecting, you know. But Nick Castellanos, he might give me the kind of energy that I was looking for from somebody who's a troublemaker. But you just don't want that in your clubhouse, right? You don't want that messing up the power of friendship here. And overall, Chase Field is not a tiny park. Okay, so his poor defensive metrics does not make him an outfielder. that's going to play well with this team. It's just not. He has a lack of range. He has, I mean, I guess you could plug him into one of the corner spots, but it's still going to be a downgrade from the defense that you could potentially get from somebody else that's already on this team, right? Why do we need why do we need another Jorge Barosa when we have Jorge Barosa at home? Like, again, Nick Castellanos isn't giving you much more production than some of the players that many fans have already written off and haven't given a chance to because, you know, the lack of success. And I will say, I completely understand. I understand when fans are impatient with players, you know, but again, with baseball, it's so absurd and it's so ridiculous. And never forget that Ketel Marte was not viewed as a very good player. He was viewed as a throw-in for a trade between the Mariners and the Diamondbacks, and look what he became. You never know when a guy is going to be able to put it all together and have a breakout season. And again, it doesn't feel like a 33-year-old Nick Castellanos is the kind of guy that's suddenly going to do that. I don't know. But again, maybe the change of scenery for someone like him that has had the friction with the organization he was with could help out. But at $20 million owed in 2026, you're not taking on that salary. So, you know, the Phillies are probably going to have to eat a considerable amount of it. And again, I don't know if any team wants to take on any amount of that. You know, look at the caliber of player that puts up this level of production that you're able to get in free agency or probably in your farm system somewhere. So I don't know. I mean, again, I think Castellanos did a lot of damage to his own reputation by having the kind of attitude that he does at the time. I do think that there are some fan bases that would embrace it. And I do think that there are some places he could go that he would probably fit in and find a tremendous amount of like support. I don't know if he would find a tremendous amount of success, but support is something he would find. But Arizona's infield, their outfield, it includes players whose value lies in defensive versatility. Mike Hazen and Torey Lovullo both said that defense is a priority for them this year. Excuse me. And that is the big reason why he just doesn't fit. The Diamondbacks really don't have the money to add any player, I think, that plays exclusively DH. It's the reason why you really haven't heard of them being in on too many DH candidates. I know at one point they were kind of linked to Marcell Ozuna, but again, when you take a look at the options that were available in free agency that could be a DH, it felt like they would have to play first base at the very least in order for them to be an option for this Diamondbacks platoon and DH or something like that. Castellanos is not fit for the Chase Field outfield, and again, his offense isn't really good enough to take on whatever of his contract the team would have to take on in order to bring him here and have him be solely a DH. Groundhog Mama says drink more water. I tried to. It's been look 3 days in and I am spent from spring training already. I have to be honest with you guys. I want to sit here and say like, oh, I've been enjoying all my time. No, I am exhausted, and I've walked more steps recently, including the Waste Management Open, Phoenix Open, than I did the entire time at Universal Studios, which is still bothering me a lot. But I will. I promise you, I will get some more water in me for sure. And by the way, someone had asked if I actually do play these video games behind me. I promise you, I think it was Michael Dixon. I promise you I do. I love these video games, especially the arcade game. Play that all the time. But again, Castellanos, I mean, I want to hear from you guys, obviously, in the live chat or in the chat after the show has been posted. Let us know what you think, because I just don't think he's a good fit, especially considering his exit there with the Phillies. And again, I'd probably put the Phillies up there as one of those fan bases that would love a guy like this and embrace a guy like this. So it's not even that he's a bad fit for the Phillies. It's just seems like he's a bad fit for a major league team. You can't have a crappy attitude and be terrible, right? I mean, that's how it feels like overall. You can't be both things. And Brandon Chip says, no, thank you, even for free. Well, he won't be free, but if he was, then maybe I would consider it, right? Like, we have the kind of budget here that we might need to take on a free player, but maybe not maybe not a guy like this. I don't know, but the fit with the Diamondbacks still questionable. It doesn't address any of the Diamondbacks' weaknesses right now in a cost-effective way, and it could honestly crowd out the playing time in the outfield for younger, more versatile pieces if they added Nick Castellanos, and just overall his declining performance profile doesn't seem great. Doesn't seem like a great ad. There's just not a lot here that I can see being a positive. He's neither a defensive asset nor a core long-term bat. And again, he's a 1 or 2 year rental with declining metrics. The Diamondbacks aren't in need of this. They need more than this. They also need leadership. They're going to bring in guys, veteran guys with MLB experience. They have to be leaders. They can't be guys that are going to set a bad example and perhaps, just cause this locker room to have a rift. I imagine, this might be a wake-up call for him. This might be the kind of thing that where he goes next might be where we see him behave better and, come around and be a better teammate and perhaps even have that leak onto the field and see better performance. There's also the Anthony Rendon case, the case to be made for that with any baseball player who has received an ungodly amount of money and perhaps their love of the game has dwindled and they are now in this kind of toxic place, at least as far as the Phillies were concerned, because that definitely seems toxic at this point. But anyway, that's all we got for that. But I did want to thank you guys for being Supporters Club members. You guys are the best. We love you guys so much. If you've not signed up yet, of course, I promise you, Supporters Club members actually get a better level of production than what some of you are actually seeing right now. All of these audio issues, all of these problems with my internet and me using my phone to do this show, you guys are getting that because you're not a Supporters Club member. The Supporters Club members have crystal clear audio and 4K. None of those things are true, but if it's anything I can do to get you guys on board, I'll get you on board. You guys have already been amazing about it. If you do send us super chats, of course, this is a great way just to have that money go a little bit further and give you something back. You'll get some exclusive content from us here on our YouTube channel. You also get that wonderful badge that updates with time, telling everyone how long you've been a member, and access to the emojis. Also, though, not just the emojis, but you have access to request emojis. That's another wonderful part about the Supporters Club. So you can pitch us ideas based on show bits, phrases, inside jokes, anything you want, and we'll probably do it. But again, we thank you guys so much for being Supporters Club members. You guys are the people who support us and keep us going, so we thank you so much. We're also kicking the asses of the other all-city cities when it comes to this, so that's kind of cool as well. But before we get out of here, I did want to just let you guys know that I know there's been a lot of questions about Dbacks.tv and where we that are in market can watch games. And we do have an update. Many of you that are Dbacks.tv subscribers got this notification already, but for those of you that are interested, it's back and it's here, and you can sign up over at Dbacks.tv. The Dbacks.tv seasonal package allows fans to stream Dbacks regular season games in the Arizona area with no blackouts, and that is available for $100 American dollars. So go subscribe now. You can buy it on your mobile device. You can get it anywhere, and then watch your beloved Dbacks. This offer is only for fans in the club's home television territory, which I believe stretches far beyond just Arizona. So I think if you're in like Las Vegas or any of the surrounding areas, you people in Utah, you get nothing. You get nothing, and you'll like it. But again, this will be that information on cable satellite providers. That's going to be provided at a later time. But for now, you can get Dbacks.tv on mobile app. And to give fans a little taste of this, when you subscribe to Dbacks.tv, all of the spring training games will be available for free as the D-backs prep for the season out there at Salt River Field. So it's your chance to get that app, and then you can find me like Where's Waldo running around the Salt River Fields, probably again causing trouble. Not the kind of trouble Nick Castellanos caused. I'm more precocious with my trouble. Sean is suggesting a ripped pants Derek emoji. I don't love that. I got to admit, I don't love that. I'm usually on board with things. That's not great. But again, John in the chat says we are becoming the Arizona Cardinals of baseball. Please, John, don't do that to me. We are not. At least we have ourselves a championship. So we're always going to be better than them. We're always going to be better than them. Don't tell Johnny and Bo I said that. That hurt to say. That hurt me. I'm a diehard Cardinals fan myself. But to all of you diehard fans, we appreciate you guys sticking around. We'll apologize again for our little miscues here. We'll make sure to have our act together tomorrow for another 4 p.m. show. Make sure to join us for that. In the meantime, of course, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. You can follow our guy Shane Diefenbach at Shane Dief on social media. But of course, our show is at PHNX_Dbacks. And as always, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow with more updates from spring training camp. And then as of tomorrow, we are 1 week away from spring training games starting with the Diamondbacks taking on the Colorado Rockies. So again, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Appreciate you guys again for your time. Thank you so much for stopping by. Love you guys. Hope you all have a wonderful evening. Behave yourselves. Rex, wherever he is. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you're back out there training one day after having hand surgery.
We all silly like the mayor.